guys, in today's video we're going to talk about customs and how to know if you're ready to start taking customs. I have Lucas here. He's currently in progress. He is getting rooted right now, but I don't have any finished babies for you to look at and wanted you to have something to look at while I'm talking. So the first thing about customs is there are a few different types of customs. There is something people call soft customs or sculpt requests, and that kind of custom is basically for a customer who loves your painting style and they just want a specific sculpt. They don't have any input on how you create the baby. They just love your work and want you to create a specific sculpt for them in your own way. The next kind of custom is a portrait baby. That is usually where someone will send you a photo of a baby, sometimes the baby they've lost, sometimes one of their living children, sometimes them or their spouse when they were a baby. And you try to recreate a baby based on that photo to get it to look as close as possible to how that baby looked. Those kind of babies, you usually work really closely with the customer to find a sculpt where the features resemble, and then it's up to you to paint and root so that it looks the same as the real baby in the photo. The third kind of customs are true customs. This is what most customers I expect. I would say not all, but a large majority. And that usually involves them sending you a photo of a baby. Sometimes it's another reborn. A lot of times it is another reborn, a prototype version, or just a version that they love, and they want you to recreate that baby. Other times they'll send you inspiration photos and they want very, very specific things. And it's your job to create what they have envisioned in their mind. And it is really, really difficult. I'll say there are definitely much higher expectations for a custom order than there are for a ready to sell baby that's already completed, that they can see exactly how that baby looks. Most of the time customers will have an image in their mind, and sometimes it's hard for them to communicate exactly what that image is to you. Sometimes you don't have the skill level to create that image. So I see all the time people being really disappointed with customs. So I want to talk to you guys, especially beginners, about how you know that you're ready for customs so that you don't take customs on too early and damage your reputation at the time when it is so important that you have like 100% positive customer experiences. So the very first, and these, I'm just going to preface this by saying these are my own opinions, kind of what I used before deciding if I was ready for customs, and advice that I give other people. Other people might have different opinions, but these are mine. So the first way to know is I would look back at your last 10 babies at least and see, are you happy with all of them? Did they come out like you envisioned? Were you going for a super pale baby and ended up with a very dark skin tone baby? Things like that. Did they come out the way that you intended, and did you produce a high quality of work? Another one is, are your customers generally happy with your work? Are you getting any negative feedback about your work at all? Any areas for improvement? Another one which kind of ties into that is, are you selling well? When you post a baby, does it sell right away? And the reason for these two things is I see a lot of brand new artists taking customs because they cannot make sales. I know it's really tempting for new artists because they see them as a guaranteed money. But if your babies are not at the quality of work where people are wanting to buy them and they're happy with that quality work, I can guarantee you that if you take a custom order where the expectations are even higher for a guaranteed sale, your customer is not going to be happy. It's going to damage your reputation. They might leave you a bad review. They might never buy from you again. You want to make sure that your work is something worth buying and that people want to buy before offering the next step up. And I actually have a really, really great analogy here. One of my subscribers, Carrie, she made this post and she posted on another video. But this is her analogy for customs. I'm just going to read it exactly like she typed it because it is so true. She says, if you're going to take up a new sport, say figure skating as an example, are you going to start out competing in the Olympics with the elite team, or are you going to go down to the community ice arena and start practicing there? Most people would say they're starting at the local community center, but if you're a beginner artist attempting customs, I see that as being on par with someone that's never put on a skate in their life, thinking they're going to be on the same level as an Olympic athlete that's trained for years to get to where they are. It's just not a skill you're going to master overnight. And that is one of the best analogies I've ever heard. I see so many new artists, they haven't even painted their first baby offering customs. Or, you know, they've painted a few babies, they can't even sell them for $150, so they start offering customs, hoping that they can start making some sales. If you want to build a good reputation with happy repeat customers, which is detrimental for your business, do not take customs before you're artistically ready. It'll just bite you in the butt. So those are like my tips on how to know. I'm going to talk about a couple of other things like pricing and deposits. For customs, I take $150 deposit for a vinyl reborn doll, and that is the industry standard. People that are painting silicones, a lot of times they will take a deposit that's equal to the cost of the silicone kit. Just because blank silicones can cost $2,000. Generally, that deposit is not refundable. The only way you would refund it is if you have to cancel on the customer. Otherwise, they pay a deposit, a materials deposit. If they end up canceling, then their deposit is forfeited. The rest of the amount due is usually due upon completion after you show them tons of photos of the baby and they're 100% happy with everything, and they would pay right before you ship out. Another thing about pricing is, okay, customs really, really vary. In general though, they're going to be more expensive than ready to sell reborns. In general, my customs are usually about anywhere from $200 to $400 more expensive than my ready to sell. There are a lot of reasons for that, but the biggest reasons is, first, they are a lot harder. You're not just going with the flow. You know, if you have a baby that is leaning on the yellow side and you keep trying to correct the vinyl and a customer wants a cool baby, if it's not a custom order, you can say this baby is just going to be a little bit more warm. If anything happens, if you mess up anything, you know, you might have to buy a new kit and restart it, or strip and restart it. They can take a lot more work. They're just, the skill level required is a lot higher, and they're a lot harder. Another reason is that there is going to be a ton of communication. There should be anyways. And so you kind of want to account for that. When you're doing a custom, from the, you know, that first deposit until it's finished, there should be a lot of communication. Before you start that baby, there's a lot of communication. You want their expectations to be really clear. You know, exactly what style do they want. If there's inspiration photos, what do you like about this baby and that baby? You want to make sure that you know what they want. And then the entire process, you know, you're sending them photos, you're getting feedback. They might ask you to change things. It is just constant communication during that period, and that takes a lot of time. As far as expectations go for customs, one big thing is work in progress photos. What I personally do for my customers is I have an Android phone. I use Google. I create a Google album for that specific baby, and I create a sharing link, and I give that link to the customer. And then pretty much every day that I'm done painting, I'll take a photo and upload it so that they can just go into the album at any time and they can see the progress that I'm making. If you don't do it that way, people are expecting regular updates, and that means usually a couple times a week. If there are any delays, if you get sick or anything, you need to communicate that with your customer. I'm not going to be painting for a few days. I'm not feeling well. Usually they're paying very good money for a custom, and they're envisioning extremely high quality of work, and it makes them very nervous, and sometimes they will actually not want to work with you anymore if they feel like communication is lacking. So that's something that you really want to make sure that you're doing a really great job at. Another thing is with scheduling. I guess, okay, for expectations for time, the industry standard for a custom order is 6 to 8 weeks. That is what I tell people. Once I start your baby, it will take about 6 to 8 weeks to complete. I can finish a baby sooner than that. I can finish a baby in 4 weeks, but I don't want to tell a customer to expect their baby in 4 weeks. If I finish early, it's a great surprise, but you really need to allow for any type of emergencies. You know, you might get sick, you might have appointments, one of your kids might get sick, you might get injured. Something might go wrong. You might melt a kit and need to fix it. You might really severely mess up paint and need to strip and start over. You really, when you're scheduling your customs, you really need to look at a realistic time frame to complete the baby if everything that can go wrong does go wrong. You know, worst case scenario is things will go wrong and you'll still be on time. Best case scenario is everything will go right and you'll be done early. And that's another thing that I see a lot of people complaining about, people overbooking themselves with custom orders. I'm guilty of that sometimes, but I give myself such a large window of 8 weeks that even though I overbook, I'm not late, but it means that I'm crazy busy. I try to only book one custom every 8 weeks. Right now I have 2 customs booked every 8 weeks for a little while, and then that is going back to one every 8 weeks for all of 2026, and I'm not doing more custom orders for 2026. But there are a lot of posts that you'll probably see about someone paying a deposit for a custom. The artist says, I'm going to start in January. It's now October and they haven't seen a single work in progress. So they're not getting updates that, hey, something came up, I overbooked, whatever, I can't start your baby in January. They don't even know if their baby is been started yet, if this artist just stole their deposit and, you know, is not going to finish their baby. So you really want to make sure when you're booking customs that you're being realistic. How much time does it take me to fully complete a baby? Add at least a few weeks on top of that for your time frame. Make sure when you're scheduling customs that you're not scheduling one custom a month or a custom every 2 weeks. You're going to end up falling behind. And when you start doing customs regularly, if you schedule one custom order every 8 weeks, and you find I'm finishing everyone at 4 weeks, then maybe you can add a second one in there. You know, you can schedule one every 4 weeks, but it's really important, especially when you're first starting, that you schedule like you're going to have problems and like it's going to take you longer. I'm trying to think if I always do this. I should have taken like real notes, but to me those are the most important things about a custom. You know, if you cannot complete work the way you envision it, how do you expect to complete work the way a customer envisions it? I just see so many people taking custom orders way too soon, and it makes me sad. I don't want your guys' businesses to get hurt. I want you to get your skill level up high and start taking custom orders when you're ready, and having your customers rave about you, recommending you to other collectors. And I want your business to be successful. And these are one of those things that small things that you can do to make sure that you're successful. I know it can be tempting to get that $150 if you need money right now. I would just recommend that you resist the temptation. It might end up costing you a lot more than $150 in the long run. People might get the baby, they're really not happy. They might do a chargeback for not as described, which people do all the time. They shouldn't be able to do it for custom orders, but I see it every single day. People do it. So just don't do it till you're ready. All right, guys, I will see you in the next one.